Hey everybody, Mike Miller, Herald Times, the columnist Andy Graham,
Yo.
supporting the Cardinals as usual. I think last time you were in old Vince Lombardi, Green Bay Packers. But
I was. Brand new Cardinal cap, as a matter of fact. It's my playoff cap.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, getting ready for playoffs.
Did you get that in St. Louis a couple years ago?
No. If I have bought them, I've been fortunate enough to go to Busch a couple of times, and my wife and I, as the first, I've been to 2 World Series games in my life, and one was in high school with my dad down in Cincinnati,
Yes.
the Reds and the Oakland A's, and then I went and saw the Cardinals lose a game a couple of years back. But no, this one was bought in Bloomington, and I'm proud to have it, though. I mean, I tell you what, man, this year, I don't want to talk about, wax eloquent about the Redbirds here too much, but it's a privilege and pleasure to be a Cardinal fan, but never more than this year when they've got the best record in baseball and have no right to, with Adam Wainwright going down and Matt Holliday and Matt Adams going down, their setup guy going down. They've overachieved, to say the least, and so it's been a pleasure.
Well, as a once again suffering Orioles fan, I wish you nothing but the worst this fall. Indiana,
It's a
Wake
different kind of
Forest.
bird.
Indiana, Wake Forest this weekend. Back to football.
Yes.
Headed to North Carolina this weekend, as is the rain. Could be a messy weekend in Winston-Salem, but a big weekend nonetheless. This is huge. I mean, this is an opportunity to start 4-0 for the first time, I believe, since 1990. When you looked at the non-conference schedule coming in, the Western Kentucky game was really the toss-up, but it was also kind of like these two games were almost interchangeable. It was almost like, yeah, they could lose to Western Kentucky and go on the road and beat Wake, but you could also almost see the letdown coming after beating a good quality, really good team like Western Kentucky, and going on the road and losing to a rather mediocre program like Wake Forest. What do you make of this game, Andy? I think it's going to go a number of different ways. It is essentially, we've talked about this week, it's essentially a toss-up, although I think we're both leaning a little bit more toward IU, maybe a 60-40 margin right there.
Yeah, it's the first road game. I mean, I think conventional wisdom, such as it is, looked at the Indiana schedule and said they really ought to win the first 2, and the next 2 are probably kind of toss-up games. It could go either way. Generally, the thought was, if they come out of there 3-1, then they're set up to possibly achieve a bowl eligibility type of season. Mm-hmm. If they go 4-0, I think that, obviously then people can really get excited, and people should be a little bit excited now just by how they've won games. They've been behind in the second half in all 3 games and come back to win, been dominant in the third quarter after halftime, made decisive plays down the stretch to win, that kind of thing. So if this is a toss-up game this weekend, at least Indiana has shown some capacity and maybe some confidence that they're going to go ahead and win close games. Every now and again, a program has a magic year. This year may be and may not be. It's far too early to tell, but at least the early signs are there. I've talked about Minnesota having one of those with Jerry Kill, brought a good staff up there, and obviously did a great job of coaching foundationally for that program. But they also had one of those seasons where every close game swung their way. They won the game in Bloomington because it was botched lateral. Mm-hmm. They got breaks. They made their own breaks, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I think that Indiana has a chance to go 4-0 before they face what is almost certainly to be a 4-0 Ohio State team here 2 weeks from now. But the thing that has happened all week with the college game day situation, we probably should talk about that.
I'll tell you.
Indiana doesn't want to look ahead to Ohio State because they could lose to Wake Forest. Wake Forest has very similar caliber athletes, I think, on the field that Indiana has. It's a first road game. It's a big test. Kevin Wilson's going home to North Carolina. He wants everybody focused in on that. And any talk at all about the Ohio State game is unwelcome in the Indiana football program. And so we've seen a bit of a fracas over the whole kind of fun but kind of silly and frankly a little bit I don't know. I shouldn't use that
fantastical
word.
Almost.
Well, yes, a pie in the sky kind of notion. But look, Dan Dockage kind of took it over. Dan Dockage is not exactly a friend of the program right now in terms of the head coach. Let's put it that way. So it's been kind of an interesting situation. But I'll let you talk about it a bit in terms of how it all germinated. It came from a
Well, it was Dockich himself kind of started this, actually.
Well, he pushed it, but the first place I saw it was on Crimson Quarry.
Dockich started, he pushed it, and from there, Crimson Quarry really took it over. Hey, guys. Friends of the blog, friends of the HT, Crimson Quarry guys. They really did a great job of really spinning this forward, getting people involved, getting people invested, getting people to tweet with the hashtag IUFB for GameDay, which caught the attention of folks at ESPN. Sage Steele, Mark Cuban have all acknowledged this week. Other fan bases have kind of taken this as almost a pet project to bring GameDay to Bloomington, and I get the sense that if Kevin Wilson could have, he would have put his team on a plane last night and got him to North Carolina and got them the hell out of here.
And look, the stuff I read on Crimson Quarry initially about it was very fun. It was very funny.
It was great.
It's very well written and extremely. It was kind of a hoot to read it. But from an Indiana football point of view, it's poison. It's like you don't want that to even enter into anybody's thinking at this point. I mean, it makes sense from a media point of view that the college game day decision is rendered the week before. So the timing of it was such that if you're going to talk about it, then you have to talk about it now because that's when they're going to make the decision. But from an Indiana football point of view, it's just beat Wake Forest. Okay, I mean that's Indiana has no right to look past anyone or look ahead to anything.
And look no further than last year. I mean, this is all coming off to Western Kentucky, looking ahead that you're 3-0 with the possibility of going 4-0 before you even start the Big Ten season. I mean, this is already, forgive me, but this almost sets up as the classic Indiana loss in past years. And to this is almost adding fuel to the fire. I mean, you have to go no further than last year to see the Missouri game and to kind of come out of nowhere, play your best game of the season, just in all phases beat Missouri in that game in Columbia, and come back here and just lay a total egg against a very, frankly, mediocre Maryland program. And,
that's exactly
this is kind of Kevin Wilson's point. Like, we haven't proven we can string these games together. We haven't beaten Power 5 teams on the road in how many years? I don't even know. I have to go back and look. But it's fine for the fans to talk about this. It's fine for that. But I think it was almost permeating into that locker room this week where maybe guys are getting a little too high on things. Maybe I should rephrase it. Maybe guys are getting a little too excited about some of the possibilities of the season. Look, Wake Forest can beat you. Whether they will or not, I don't know. Because there's a whole lot going on there too with their quarterback situation. Their offensive line's very good. I think they can.
I think their defense is pretty good.
It's fine. Yeah,
their defensive front.
The point is,
there's a lot of seniors. In fact, there's grad students in the secondary.
There's a lot of experience. They have a lot of experience on defense, especially. And that's the point. This is not a team to overlook.
No, in fact, as I said, in terms of talent level, it's probably very similar to Indiana. Here's the thing. Look, Indiana hasn't won 4 games in a row. Now you could count 4 in a row if you count last year's bucket game, right? And the last time they did that in terms of any span from season to season even was 1993 when Bill Mallory was still here. If you look at 4th games in Indiana's schedule since the turn of the century, they've lost 11 in a row. That's coming off of the pre-conference schedule a lot of the time. A lot of times that was a Big Ten opponent, but they haven't done well in the 4th week. Look. This is a game that Indiana has to focus on. This game, doing everything they can to win this game. They could arguably be 0-3 too. They've won close games, and this is probably going to be a close game. And the whole idea is to win this game. Look, the whole thing about college game day. That's exactly the sort of, frankly, silliness that social media just adores and loves and builds up and it's the perfect thing for social media, social media really helped drive it too. But if I were Kevin Wilson, I'm taking away everybody's cell phones. Don't get on Twitter.
Oh, that's a bad one.
No, I'm not kidding. But just don't get on Twitter. Don't get caught up in this. Divorce yourself mentally completely from it and focus on beating Wake Forest because that's the task at hand. If that is accomplished, then we can start talking about Ohio State because we have to, and we will start talking about Ohio State. But until then, not a word. It should not even cross your mind if you're an Indiana football player. You should be focused on Wake Forest, period. And it's going to be, look, this is a game Indiana can win. Wake Forest, for one thing, their starting quarterback sustained an ankle injury last week against Army, and the backup came in and did a pretty fair job. He threw a couple of TD passes, also threw a couple of picks, but he ran the ball for over 100 yards.
102 yards, something like that. Yeah, he threw a couple deep balls too. Dave Clawson, Wake Forest coach, was really impressed with kind of the accuracy on his deep ball as a freshman. This is a guy who was here since the spring. Not a true kid walking in this summer. They like the talent from this kid, but he's a freshman. And with that offensive line at Wake, I didn't get to see the Army game. The only thing of Wake I've seen so far is the Syracuse game, and they were just getting pushed, manhandled, frankly. I think they have 2 redshirt freshman tackles. I have to check on that, but they were just getting pushed, and that kid had no time to throw. Well, some of the picks in that game weren't even his fault. So maybe this is the game where Indiana can kind of generate that push up front, get guys like Latham and Jerry going.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana's been looking for a pass rush. They've been looking to get more penetration from their defensive line. There's no doubt that since Big Ralph Green and Darius Latham got on the field, that's improved anyway. Just we've seen that. But now this ought to be a game where the defensive line can really hold sway a bit, and that could really matter because the last time Indiana faced a quarterback that was a good run-throw option against Southern Illinois, Indiana didn't handle it very well.
Yep.
So it's going to be important that they do this time.
By the way, I love watching Ralph Green at nose tackle. I think that's a really good move for IU. I think that should continue for the foreseeable future. We'll see this weekend, though. Winston-Salem, 12:30 kickoff. Posted on the blog Thursday afternoon where you can find television assignments. I think it's WNDY in the Indianapolis market. There's a live stream online, too, if you have, a TV provider login, so you can find it online. Also, 12:30 kickoff.
Kevin Wilson and Jeremy Price going home.
To the homeland. We'll see you out there, guys. Thanks.
See you then.